Wait. I just accidentally clicked go live without enabling local recording, so apologies
You want
about
to?
that.
Do you have to stop?
Oh, do you want us to record then?
Yeah,
Oh, we're
if
live.
we are live. I don't have a way to turn it on
Hi.
now.
Okay. I'm gonna have to get my Audible up and running. I haven't done that in a while.
Joel, can you record your audio locally
In StreamYards?
in like on Audacity or something else on your computer?
I have never done that.
Welcome to the behind the scenes, how the sausage,
One second.
how the podcast is made.
Sorry. Yeah, it's gonna be rough on the podcast side because
The StreamYard audio is pretty good most of the time, right?
well, it's not. I'm not gonna have individual channels to edit out the chair
Yeah.
noises and stuff like that.
I may not be able to record because it's saying I might have a hardware failure, which I don't.
Okay. Well, we'll just.
I'll keep trying.
We'll just proceed
Okay.
forward, but apologies to the podcast audience who won't even hear this, but the YouTube people that are here watching, it's not gonna. It'll be the same experience for all of y'all, so you're not missing out. But howdy, we are live on a Friday night, and we have a brand new episode of the final season of Lower Decks to discuss. So we can go ahead and get the show started. I see there's already some people watching and commenting, so let's do this thing. I'm Fatheree.
I'm Aaron.
And I'm Joel.
And this is Tex-Trek.
Engage.
Welcome back aboard the Starship Texas for the 305th installment of the Tex-Trek podcast, the home of Star Trek fandom from deep in the heart of Texas, where we take a deep look at Star Trek old and new. And tonight we are talking about Star Trek Lower Decks Season 5, Episode 3, The Best Exotic Nanite Hotel, written by Stephanie Amante-Ritter and directed by Brandon Williams. But before we get into that, just a little bit of quick housekeeping per usual. I need to give a huge thank you and shout out to the wonderful people over in the Tex-Trek Patreon. Thank you so much, Starfleet Sohel, Cake is Eternal, Crazy Dutchie, Joanne Robertson, John Daw, Geek Filter, Quark Spar, Stephanie Durantes, Matthew Averett, Braxton, Chuck A, Joel Vallis, Benjunium, Arthur Lamaru, our associate producer, Chris Garris, Dave Farabee, and our anonymous supporters. We do like to celebrate with our patrons by having a monthly Patreon watch party. We have one coming up for the month of November on Saturday, November 23rd. That's actually our associate producer's birthday, Chris Garris's birthday, and we're going to be celebrating with the other patrons watching Star Trek First Contact. So that should be a lot of fun. It's always a great crowd who shows up to those watch parties, and if you want to participate in that, you can come into the Tex-Trek Patreon at whatever level you're able to help out at. As little as $2 a month will get you into the watch parties. And if you can afford to be more generous, there's some additional perks as well. But that should be a lot of fun. And in some news, I didn't have the chance to report on it last week because we had to pre-record our show last Friday. But the sad passing of Jerry Taylor, was the showrunner on TNG and Voyager, both at different times, and was pretty fundamental to the development of Voyager. And it was I'll never forget this, but I was actually at a convention with our friend Rachel, who does our first reaction streams on Thursdays, and my partner Taylor. We were at SpaceCon in San Antonio at a Star Trek Voyager panel that had Kate Mulgrew and Robert Beltran and Robert Duncan McNeil and Garrett Wong all on stage. And it was actually Kate Mulgrew saying like, oh, Jerry Taylor passed away today. That was like how I learned that Jerry Taylor had died, was like from the voice of Janeway.
That's hard.
But yeah, I'll never forget that. But it was cool seeing like their reactions and just like getting to hear like their stories about Jerry Taylor. And it was very it felt like a very, kind of rare experience to see those actors getting the news themselves, and still processing it. So, but yeah, Jerry Taylor, very important in both TNG and Voyager, especially Voyager.
Yeah, for sure.
But speaking of conventions coming up in a couple of weeks, I plan to be at Creation's Dallas Star Trek convention. So that's going November 15th through 17th. I think I'm probably just going to be there on that Saturday on November 16th. But if anyone wants to see me, that's where I'll be. Looking forward to that convention. And in some non-Star Trek related news, I just want to throw this out there. People who have been following me on my Star Trek podcast might be curious to know I'm starting a new podcast starting next week, the Super Maniacs, we're calling it, and it's going to be about my favorite fictional character, Superman. So the YouTube channel is already out. I think we're doing our first show is going to be live Monday. So if you hear this before then, look that up and subscribe and check us out. And we'll also be on podcast platforms as well.
Cool. I have a quick merch news that I heard today related to Lower Decks. They're going to be doing model kits. So we've got the Polaris, whole thing with the lights and everything. And there's a limited edition 500 Quark Cerritos that look like the box that had that Tendi and Rutherford had. So you can get a model.
I saw a picture of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
The box looks like the box of the...
It's got it says Quark across it, and it's got all this. Yeah, there's blueprints inside that they were looking
packaging. It's like the same. That's
exactly
cool. That's a neat idea.
It's also from Polaris.
Yeah, then they've been making Star Trek models for a while. I remember that was the exciting thing when Star Trek Enterprise came out. It's like, oh, I got to get a model of the NX-01, and it was Polaris who put that out.
And I keep calling it Polaris because that's what a medical company that I did some website stuff for like 2 years. So my brain will not separate those two. But yeah, so I saw that today and I was like, hey, that's really cool. And we're talking about Lower Decks.
Lower Decks does seem to get like some of the coolest merch. When it does get merch.
I had a thought watching this episode. I'm like, we're getting a plushy Glumpus before we get a nice Murph, aren't we? And I'm not complaining. I want a plushy Glumpus.
They should have like little like a Velcro on the sides of it or whatever, so you can clump together more of them.
Oh yeah, make it like magnetic or something. Yeah, there's
magnetic,
20 and making.
That'd be kind of fun.
Let's
talk about Glumpus. This episode, it's a mouthful. The best exotic nanite hotel, but I'm gonna quickly recap it just by reading the official synopsis, and then I'll kind of expand on that with spoilers, and we can get into our personal thoughts on the episode. But the official synopsis reads: the Lower Deckers hunt nanites on a resort in space? ? Exclamation mark. But yeah, we have two stories. We have a Mariner and the gang have to hunt the nanites with Jennifer, and we get some closure with Jennifer and Mariner's relationship. They kind of skipped over at the end of season 3 and saved it now for season 5. But while that's going on, we also have Boimler on an undercover mission with Ransom and Billups, which Boimler was scared at first, but then it turned out like, oh, it's all okay, and he didn't have anything to worry about. Which that kind of bothered me, but I guess I'll go ahead and transition into our opening statements, but I'll just say mine real quick. But
okay,
I did like this episode a lot, but the one thing that bothered me when I went back and rewatched it and turned it over a bit was it turns out it was all just one big misunderstanding, and Ransom, of course, was never going to use Boimler as a canary in a coal mine or whatever his big fear was. It's like, I don't know, I feel like Lower Decks does that alert does that a lot, where it's all like, oh look, it was just like one big
Misunderstanding alert. Misunderstanding alert.
Yeah, that needs to be like a red alert something. But they just do that a lot, and
Yeah.
I don't know. Sometimes it's like it's kind of obvious, and I feel like we didn't learn much in there. But I did kind of like the character Admiral Milius and kind of their spoof on Apocalypse Now was fun. But I did really enjoy the other story with the Jennifer stuff, getting to
Yeah.
give them time to, like they both said, their piece. We got to hear from Jennifer's point of view as well. And it sounds like, yeah, I guess it was kind of a fun relationship to have for two young people, but definitely not meant to be a long-term thing. But them like accepting that and being okay with that, I thought that was very like mature and cool. And then chasing
I
the
got one thing off my
Glumpus.
list. The what I wanted to see. It's like I wanted to see them get together and then not be together permanently.
The chasing the Glumpus stuff, I thought that was a lot of fun. Kind of like the Looney Tunes. It was very like Tom and Jerry or like Roadrunner and the Coyote. In fact, I wish that we had
So
more
is-
screen time with that.
Yeah. So was Boimler on the slopes. It felt very Wile E. Coyote or Acme something or other. Yeah.
Yeah.
When we saw the preview for that, I thought, is it going to be like a James Bond ski chase? But no, it is not. And
It's
it all
Boimler.
felt better. It was great.
It was a Boimler ski
Yeah.
chase. Yeah.
It's like the longest Scream, isn't it? That he's probably done.
Definitely.
It feels like it.
Yes.
Okay.
Because that was that was hundreds of feet.
But
'Cause
Aaron,
the camera was super far away, and then a lot of time.
Aaron, what did you think? What's kind of your general impressions on this episode?
I think the first time I watched it, I latched on to that whole misunderstanding thing, which is like, okay, they literally did that in the previous episode. Had they talked to each other about, I can't remember what it was. Tendi and her sister, that would have been just taken care of. Just like, so they do, or there's just a lack of communication. But as I watched it, because I watched it a few more times, I actually really, really like it. I like the Jennifer stuff. That's the, Jennifer and Mariner. And also just, reintegrating Tendi back into the group. And so I think it was good. It was a good character plus action. Different than Starship action.
Yeah. Yo, for sure. Yeah, I too really liked it. Just having an adventure in this weird Italian-like town is just...
It looks like a mall here in LA.
The architecture.
Yeah,
it
faux
was,
Italian. It's not real. It's Italian. But...
yeah, it looks like a very like lived-in city, but like no one lives here. It's like a big resort, right? So it's
Yeah, they're all shops, restaurants.
Unless they're the people who like pay money to stay, like they have people who live on
who
cruise
aren't
platinum
Platinum level. They're like
Yeah.
gold level. They can stay at the Italian village, maybe.
But a lot of cruise ships and like I don't know, like casino hotels and stuff, they do kind of like decorate themselves like, look, we're like a fake little city.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
weird, but it
They
kind of
had
like
giant space.
yeah. I mean, this thing was supposed to be the size of a moon, according to Captain Freeman. It
It's
wasn't
a
that
ship.
big.
It's-
It was
Teeny
Yeah.
tiny moon, but yeah.
yeah. I suppose
It's huge for a
moons
ship,
come
though.
Yeah.
in a variety of sizes.
It's like Starbase 1 size, right?
Yeah,
It looks like.
yeah, and it's
I think
a very
bigger,
similar
maybe.
design.
It might be. 'Cause
Yeah.
it's. I'm sure it can move. I mean, I'm sure that part's correct, but
I thought
Yeah.
that's what they implied, that it was going from place to place.
yeah,
they
I'm
they
sure
call it a
it's-
ship, not a
it hangs out in a
station.
system, and then it warps to another system.
Yeah.
And
But in the other Star franchise, they call the Death Star a station, and it can move all over the place. So I don't know. Sometimes I think like space station and spaceship seem like a little interchangeable, but even Deep
Yeah.
Space Nine moved once.
barely. Yeah. It was hard. It was really hard to move by the wormhole, but they did
Yes.
it. But
So let's assume
Like the ISS does the same thing, I think. You can kind of move it.
let's assume this
Yeah,
thing
well-
has more mobility than DS9. But we can go ahead and get into our episode breakdown, and we can save the Boimler B story for later, but just start with the primary mission that Mariner and Jennifer go on. But we open the episode with the arrival at the Cosmic Duchess, and Freeman explains that they're there to deal with a nanite infestation. So it's kind of like the TNG episode Evolution, I think, the season 3 opener where Wesley let his nanites escape. He fell asleep.
Wesley
with
created life, basically.
the nanite jar open.
yeah.
But-
I was just reading on somewhere, maybe Twitter. They were trying to figure out where the word nanite came from. And the OED says it was first in Cinefantastique in 1990.
Oh.
They were sure that episode was aired in 89. So
Oh.
the word
So-
is from Next Generation. From
Okay,
that episode.
I didn't realize that, but Star Trek invented the word nanite.
We think Voyager now when we hear nanite, but Borg nanites, right? 'Cause
Right.
It was every episode. But yeah, I think that was.
Maybe nanite was the first imprint in Cinefan.
I didn't-
Yeah, I think
I didn't
that's
realize
what, yeah, they do.
that
print.
hadn't been said before then. But I guess
I
like
didn't realize either.
because other
But
franchises
people use
have,
nanobots basically.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
nanites.
the same concept is old, but yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know that was a Star Trek creation, like that word. So that's cool to know.
Yeah, I thought that was fun.
It looks like nanobots was first used in 1959. So that's
Okay.
been around for quite a time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Boimler is recruited for the side quest with Ransom, and instead we have Jennifer on this mission. So she
She does stuff
Right
with her
on-
neck a lot.
right off the bat, she's calling Mariner babe and acting like they're still girlfriend and girlfriend. And it was fun that T'Lyn wasn't around in season 3, so we kind of get like that recap of like Mariner explaining to T'Lyn who Jennifer is and their history.
Very organic.
Yeah.
So much side eye in that transporter room. Yeah.
Yeah, but for
Like,
people who don't
everyone is just.
people who don't remember, the last we saw of Jennifer, well, we had seen her a few times in season 4, but I don't think she had any dialogue. But the last we saw her actually like interact with Mariner was the end of season 3 when she like when Mariner is being sent to Starbase 80 for making the whole crew look bad to the Federation News Network. And when she like gives her candle back, and then I guess there was a bit of a backlash about that they never get to like spotlight that breakup, that relationship breakup. And so I guess this is the show reacting to that criticism and being like, oh, we'll do like an entire episode about
And I think
Jennifer's
Mike
last
talked
mission.
about it being even more important because it's a lesbian relationship, or it's a so he doesn't want them to feel like they had been marginalized and just like, oh, we're not even going to take care of, like, she's gone, So that's why he wanted to pull that back out.
Right. Yeah. It was you could see why it might not have been super obvious to be like, oh, we should definitely like not sideline this, because there's not like a lot of like healthy examples of like a woman on woman romance like ending in a healthy way. It doesn't really get explored a lot in our media. So
Yeah.
but it was a fun opportunity, and they kind of they milked some good drama out of it by having, oh, this is this Mariner being typical immature Mariner, and she's just being hyper avoidant, and you see like the character doing something that kind of like tracks with them, like, oh, she's just like really trying to avoid a difficult, awkward conversation, like when you break up with someone. And so they kind of get to explore that a little bit and give Mariner some growth by the end.
Yeah, I think they did a pretty good job. Yeah, they really made it worked.
This is that room that we were trying to guess what that furniture was from. I'm like, oh, it's a cruise ship.
Yep.
But nothing that we would have ever seen before.
The 90s looking thing.
Yeah.
And our Looney Tunes trap, which just made me glowed
Yeah.
my heart. My heart was hit with a phaser beam.
No.
Grew 3
Sorry, my
sizes.
cat is like,
No, don't let your cat out. Your cat will go underneath the trap. Get caught.
But yeah, we have the bait for the nanite, for the Glumpus, as Rutherford names it. They I guess it feeds off of both metal but also everything else, because they talk about it.
yeah.
It's collecting
Energy,
metal, but
too.
it seems to be collecting like any. Yeah, I mean, like it absorbs people and cars and all kinds of stuff. Ice cream trucks.
But it can't digest people. It just keeps them.
For the
So,
moment.
yeah, I wasn't sure about that. But yeah, it was fun.
But I really liked the animation. Like, I liked the cool designs of their Ghostbuster backpacks. That I wanted
Yeah.
them to see like do more with that. Like, I wish like instead of some of the Boimler shenanigans, we had more time with like this A story, and I thought that like the Glumpus is just the this silver blob. It could be like really expressive, and it's like a fun thing to see in animation.
Yeah.
It's kind of like
Yeah.
Aladdin's carpet is just a rug, but it can move around and be animated in really interesting, expressive ways. So I think that's really cool when you can have these like strange objects in animation become like living characters just all through visuals. But yeah, we didn't get enough of that. I wanted more. I wanted more of the nanite busting, nanite-hunting, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, when it's investigating that trap, it's pretty emotive, the blob. So that was pretty fun. But it wasn't always like that.
And it's a weird thing in the dialogue when they talk about it. The nanite thing, the Glumpus, it ate the electrical systems out of this hover cart, but then they're able to get into that vehicle and go on a high-speed chase. So,
Was that the same hover cart? I wasn't sure.
yeah.
'Cause
But
I remember the dialogue.
I missed that.
There's a lot of hover carts around there.
It reminds me like golf carts from a senior
In my
center or
notes,
something.
I was trying to figure out what I meant when I wrote gold cart, but I just misspelled golf.
I think you meant golf cart. I'm
I
pretty
did.
sure.
Go
But,
kart.
I'm regretting not going on the Star Trek cruise next year because I think that there's going to be a lot of like inspiration drawn from this episode.
Yeah,
and
you
then,
just
like,
have to bring one of these, get some backpack stuff, and
they
good
need
to
to have a vibe tube concert.
yes.
Like make that happen on the cruise.
I had in the hospital after my transplant, you had to practice. They want you to breathe, like, and make sure you get like enough lung capacity because it's diminished apparently. And it looked very much like that. It had all these different tubes, but the thing is that a ball would go through them, so you had to get like if you got to the last one and the ball went to the top. Yeah. So, but I was like, oh, it's a vibe tube. It's that thing that Picard's waiter had.
Cool.
And of course, the nurse is like, "Oh, okay." It's like she didn't know anything.
One of the things that I kept liking in this episode, though, was Talen's fangirling of Krog. So when they're in like the concert hall and she sees like, oh, this is the venue he's playing at, and she's so excited by like the sight of his vibe tubes and just like the way that they have to like downplay it so much to make it like super Vulcan-y. But the idea with Talen that like she's actually like for a Vulcan, she's like super excited.
When Tendi came back, she was practically like, the equivalent of a hug,
Yeah, whatever she says, like even though like there's more cheering with you around, I still find your presence comforting, or something like that. But it's like, oh yeah, like coming from Talen, like that sounds like something like really sweet from her Vulcan perspective.
I love the picture of her right there. She looks like she's having fun.
Wee. To be
for
absorbed by
the
D20.
people listening, we're looking at an image of them being absorbed by the big D20 thing, which the 20-sided object.
Yeah.
Like, I guess it's not a dice, so it's not a D20 like people use in Dungeons and
but it
Dragons.
is.
But
It is. It's not what we thought. Again, is for the previews made me think there was a D&D episode because I was just like, yes.
Yeah, that's.
But no, it's just an icosahedron. So
I LOL'd at Mariner counting the sides and was
That-
like, oh no, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Icosahedron. That was funny. That was a
I
good
didn't
joke.
get that till I got the Paramount Plus captions.
With the
Did not get
captions,
that from the screeners. Yeah.
The screeners leave something to be desired, but we at least get to see it.
Yeah, with this, the rapid pace of dialogue and jokes, the captions really help.
Yeah. Even if I know what it said, I always turn them on and watch
Yeah.
it a second time just to see.
And you get a quick look at Krog. I don't know if it's like ice cream or popsicles, or it kind of looks like possibly like more flavorful Jumja sticks than what we have on DS9. But he's getting dessert from some kind of a dessert hovercraft vehicle before they get absorbed into the runaway D20, and Mariner and Jennifer in pursuit, and eventually they end up hiding from the nanite thing in a tree, and they are forced to have a little bit of a heart-to-heart conversation. So this is where the truth comes out that Jennifer is just effing with Mariner and actually like understood that they had broken up, but was acting as if she had no idea in order to force Mariner to actually break up with her
Yes.
instead of just ghosting her.
Yeah, we get the revelation that Jennifer just immediately thought Mariner was guilty when she
Yeah.
was kicked off the ship. She's like, "Oh, of course I thought you did it." Harsh, Jennifer. Harsh.
She's a bad girl.
She did like bad girls.
But I'm glad that they kind of make Mariner kind of own up to like oh yeah, but like
Yeah.
you should actually like give someone, like explain to someone that if you're breaking up to them, or like give them the chance to say their side of things or
at
whatever.
least
So
directly tell them. Yeah.
I think that this was kind of a good idea. Sometimes I worry about shows like I totally get like the criticism, especially coming from aspects of the LGBT community and yeah, I don't want to speak for that community, but like I understand that that was an important thing that they felt like had been sidelined. But sometimes when shows try to, and it makes me think a lot of like Discovery when they're like, oh, Spock is just going to take like an oath to never talk about Michael Burnham, which felt like kind of forced. It was like,
Yeah.
I didn't need that just because people, complained about why does this guy never mention his sister in the original series? Like I didn't need it. Like sometimes when shows try to cater to the audience and like overcorrect on something, it can kind of seem very awkward and not elegant. And
Solo the movie.
I was a little worried that might be going on in this episode because I thought I was like, okay, it's kind of weird for like if this person like at the end of season 3 just go like all of season 4 thinking they were still a couple, like that kind of it seems a little silly. But then when I heard like her actual like motivation and what she's doing, I was like, oh, okay, that makes more sense. And also it's like, oh yeah, more evidence of why like these two, they even articulate this like, oh yeah, like we were a fun little fling, but it wasn't meant to be as like a long-term thing. So
I was really happy too when it was over. She basically said she's going to take the win. She didn't beat herself up and like continued for that to be a thing that she'd have to work on as well. She just kind of moved on, which is growth for her for sure.
We also get the I guess the inside of the Glumpus. We have Rutherford able to communicate to Mariner and explain to her that the signal is coming from within the Glumpus. And that's when they get the idea to disrupt it by Jennifer and Mariner bravely. It's actually like Jennifer's idea. So I kind of like, okay, Jennifer, you get to be a cool part of the solution in your final episode. But they dive into it with the vibe tubes, give to Lynn, her favorite music artist, Korg's instrument tour. And it's like, okay, you get to jam out with the vibe tubes. So that was kind of cool. And they give to Lynn a big moment also.
I really love the D20 going all around the town. It
I
actually
love when she
reminded me.
comes out of it too. She's like, she's
it
riding.
heavily
It's just like
yeah.
very stoic.
It's cool to have that be like your big like monster that everyone is like running from. It's like this giant like D20 die rolling around what looks like a village or something.
I don't know if you guys
Katamari
ever
Damacy.
Oh
you
yeah,
guys
the
ever see
the old
that's
PS2
true.
game. What is it called? Say that again, Aaron.
Katamari
Katamari.
Damacy.
Right, it's like a big junk ball just like rolling around.
Yeah,
It's larger.
and
That's
the weird
totally what
king
this is.
who's like, I don't know. This is a very strange story.
Yeah, it's like the weirdest like Japanese video game ever. But it was like it got really popular for like
It was
3
fun
years.
to play.
I bought it for my nephews. I don't think they played it more than once, but
Oh.
I remember it being a big thing though. But yeah, I think that was like an actual influence on this.
There's
at least
another
on a
thing, too, though.
subconscious level.
Yeah.
I thought it heavily reminded me of Cloak and Dagger from 1984. I don't know if you guys ever saw that.
Probably
It's
did.
got
I just-
Dabney Coleman and Henry Thomas,
Uh-huh.
the kid from E.T., because it's just a few years after E.T. Basically, the kid, he plays video games and role-playing games, like spy ones. And so part of it is like action, him as the spy, and it sort of cuts to like giant dice rolling by, and then it sort of moves into him. It's actually just,
I don't think I've
miniatures
seen
and
it.
him rolling dice on a table, but they're huge dice, like rolling by these characters, and I immediately thought of that. And I have no idea if that was an influence, but there's very few giant role playing dice rolling in visual visual media that I'm aware of.
Did y'all have any other thoughts on the Glumpus story and the Mariner and Jennifer stuff before we talk about Boimler?
Do we want to talk about the outcome of the Glumpus, or do you want the end?
Yeah, we can talk about like the reveal of the Intrepid ship at the end. But as far as like the hunt for the nanites,
yeah, it was tightly. I mean, it was written well. It didn't feel like it drug, in places, and this episode felt very roomy, and it felt like it could have been an hour, but it wasn't.
I kinda wish it
either
was.
I'm getting used to the pace or something. Maybe
I would have liked more nanite stuff. I feel like they could have gone on and had more. I don't know, just like maybe it would have gotten too silly if they expanded it more. But like
it could have crossed paths with Boimler's story.
I thought that was going to happen at some point. I was like, oh, eventually they'll cross paths. The Glumpus thing will like roll over to where the Admiral is, or
Take the Admiral
I kept
away.
waiting for them
Yeah.
because they're all in the same place. So I was waiting
Right.
for it to eventually connect up, but
I
never
did think
did.
they were going to go see Krog at the end, like see him play.
Yeah, that would have been cool.
Oh, yeah,
they
if we had
kinda
gotten
set
the
that up. He's playing
concert.
tonight.
and that's
then-
where Jennifer and Mariner could like have their last.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They could have like gone out and had like a
Yeah.
like a friendly like night out before never seeing each other for who knows when.
I am going to go feed my cat because she's going crazy. I will be back in a moment.
Go for it.
Let's see.
Okay. So
Well-
our other thread.
So we have the B story with Boimler and his undercover mission with Ransom and Billups to find the AWOL Admiral. And of course, Ransom has a cool undercover name. Instead of Jack Ransom, he has Zach Ransom. And I thought that was kind of a funny gag. Billups wanted to be Gilbert Manhandle. And
I
he's like,
thought
no, you have to
Billups-
be Zandy.
The Billups one was better, especially later. I'm cutting ahead, but on the ski slopes, when he asks him a question as hey Zandy and he just refuses to answer.
Oh, yeah. He's just going to ignore it
Until-
until he calls him Gilbert.
He's like, okay, Gilbert, and he's like, then he answers. That was Chef's kiss. That was just hilarious.
Was he wanting to like hit the gambling tables and he's like,
I don't
My
know.
my undercover character has a gambling addiction. It's like, were you just wanting to like go play some poker or something?
He's just heavily into the backstory. He's just like, I'm role playing this. Because yeah, we had a D20, but not a real D20, but we did get role playing from Billups here. So he put all of his character skills into gambling. So
But the part of the episode I don't like with Jet, who I now see like Jet is still an ensign. He didn't get promoted up, which is funny because when we first meet the character Jet Manhaver way back in season 1 in Cupid's Errant Arrow, he's a lieutenant junior grade. And then in season 2, they made him an ensign. He was like, oh, that was just corn on my shirt or something like that.
oh yeah.
Or I guess he was like a full lieutenant. He had like 2 gold pips maybe. But they wanted him to be like the same rank as everyone else for that episode in season 2, like Hayshawn His Eyes Open. When he's part of a mission to go to the collector ship, they wanted him to be like an equal and not like a superior officer. And now they get to be lieutenants and he's still an ensign. So this poor dude, demoted by the show.
And has no hands for a while.
But yeah, and he has been de-handed by the thanks to the piranha bats.
Which sounds terrible. Absolutely terrible.
It does sound terrible, and I could understand being frustrated if, at my job, at my work, if a big regular part of it was having, parts of my body devoured by alien animals. But I don't think they were doing it to him on purpose. So it was just,
No, I don't think so.
it kind of goes back to Magato Gamato when it was like, oh, we think Mariner's a spy who's like killing people or whatever. And it's just like, oh, it turns out it was like all one big misunderstanding. It's just I kind of see that coming. And I like this show a lot more when it's unpredictable and a lot of times, most of the time it does surprise. It's something I talked a lot about like in season 4 about like, oh, the show's getting like better with those reveals. I forgot about this, but I remember pointing this out in season 4 of like, oh, they've actually done like a really good job of kind of like this misdirection kind of swerve, but yeah, like this wasn't. I don't know, the reveal of it was just Ransom and Billups wholesomely giving Boimler a chance to shine. It's like, okay, this doesn't really tell us anything new about anything and a bit obvious. But the mission takes them to the Ryza bar, where we have some cool continuity connections to other shows we'll talk about in the Gornegg section of the show. But that's a thing I know will be on the Star Trek cruise. There will be a bar labeled the Ryza bar because they love Ryza. They love Ryza themed. I get it, it's the Star Trek vacation spot. It makes total sense. But also, was Joel? You're a big Whovian, right? Like,
Yep.
Did you catch the Solarian Coladas? Was that like a Doctor Who thing? A Doctor Who nod?
That word might be used in Doctor Who.
There's something from Trek,
everything
though.
Solar, I think, is used all over science fiction. I don't know if it's directly. There might be something called Solar. I think there might be. There's Solarians in Doctor Who. I think spelled slightly different.
I think there's Solarians in a lot of stuff. It feels like.
And it's one of those things that it gets used a lot. So I'm not sure if that's specific.
I know there's like a Solarian sector in Star Trek that's like appeared on star charts, but it's spelled different. So, but yeah, apparently Solarians have coladas. I guess it's like a pina colada, I guess, but a Solarian colada.
And our admiral had 200 of them charged.
Oh, speaking of alien species and how to pronounce them, they also start talking about tracking a denobulin, or how do they say it instead of denobulin? They say it wrong.
Denobulin. That was like
denobulin.
We made fun of. We had an entire plot about Orion and Orion. Like that gets
right. It's
just
like
thrown there.
We fixed that, like Lower Decks. You fixed that, and then you broke denobulin. So
yeah.
What are we doing
to
here?
be fair, all of the audiobooks, the guy cannot pronounce it. And I'm like, he's been doing this for decades now. Can somebody just give him a pronunciation guide?
I think someone had pointed that out to me at some point. Like the audiobooks always get that wrong too. But yeah, that's funny.
I'm driving down the freeway and people can see me like yelling denobulin. Like, what is going on?
Like, it's funny because I have such a vivid memory of John Billingsley saying the words "I'm a denobulin" in the Enterprise episode. Was it Terra Firma, or the one where they leave like the failed colony?
Oh,
season 1.
Yeah, terra firma, the shale.
Yeah, it's all shell. It's all shell, man. But I remember that so vividly because we had no idea what alien species Dr. Phlox was when Enterprise started. Like, John Billingsley would say in interviews, like, I don't even know the name of my character's species. And then it was like, that episode was the first time we ever heard. But I remember like hearing it be like, oh, we finally have a name for his people. When he says, I am a denobulin. But apparently, who does not have a vivid memory of that is our Ransom actor, Jerry O'Connell, right?
Yep.
He did not. If he saw that episode way back in 2001, he clearly forgot. And so did whoever was recording his audio when they recorded this. But yeah, we have a denobulin skier on the Paramount Mountain. So, and I think when I watched it with y'all, one of y'all pointed out, I guess like they don't have ski lifts. They're like climbing the mountain. So you get like a workout before your ski.
I think everyone else does have a ski lift. It looks like. It's just...
so they were they trying to be sneaky? Is that why they didn't? I
don't know. I think they were just being dumb.
Isn't that like a rope thing? It's not really. You're not like hanging down, but you're like holding on. Is that what that is?
No, I think that's a regular ski lift.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it looks
I
like
like the building, actually. I don't know. It's like, I want a cabin like that or something.
They don't normally have those wherever place I've been, but
I have never been skiing in my entire life.
I
should probably get around to it at some
skiing,
point.
So they're very small. They're hills. But you still take a ski lift up them. You don't climb.
I've been to like snowy places. I just never skied.
Yeah, I lived in Minnesota where we had plenty of snow.
Yeah, but the hills are not big. Yeah.
No.
Because it's like, it's 30 seconds going down.
That was sledding. That's where my brother broke his leg.
There you go.
Trees coming. He's like, he puts
Colorado,
his feet out to
can
stop.
go for,
Like, that's
ever.
not a good idea. Yeah.
The slope that Boimler goes down, it's called Coward's Gulch. So I guess that's supposed to be like the bunny slopes is like the
Yep.
easy skiing, right? But he doesn't have too easy of a time. We get the
What he doesn't actually go down that. They go past Bunny's Gulch to the Black Diamond.
Oh,
one,
okay.
and they go down that because it's right past that Bunny's Gulch. Because he thinks he's going on that, but she swerves and goes down the. It's got another funny sign and name. It's like something's death or something.
okay. But when he gets thrown off of the slope by the gentleman who didn't appreciate it having his back genitals
The
grabbed.
Muppet guy. Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't look like a Muppet. He kind of looks like Animal, the
He totally.
drummer in the
Yeah.
band.
Or what is it? Sweetums. Like combine those two.
Yeah.
But yeah, Aaron, I think you were just talking about the scream. But yeah, when Boimler falls off and you see him fall for so long and hear him scream for so long, and that was a good visual / audio gag.
Yeah.
I wonder if the gravity's smart because Ransom says the sun's
Oh,
smart,
that's
so
a good
you won't
idea.
get burned. It'll
Yeah.
give you less. I
Well,
wonder if the gravity stops you from dying. Cause
The
She
denobulum.
did say
with
that
snow.
nobody had come alive out of there, though. Like the
Yeah,
first time
she-
I've seen somebody take that ramp and live.
Yeah, first time I've seen someone fall from that high and live or something like that. So it sounds like there might have been some fatal accidents in here at one point.
Well, that's a fun resort. Yeah.
I didn't really like Boimler's bone joke when he says like, "Oh, good thing Starfleet keeps me in space so much. My bones aren't very dense." It's like I think like your bone density would be fine on a starship with
Yeah,
gravity.
it's the
and
lack
stuff.
of gravity that
Right.
makes astronauts have less dense bones.
And
Back on-
technically, he's still in space. Like they're still on a spaceship. So
Yeah.
Because my ADHD wouldn't let it go. Was it spelled SOLAR, like Solarian?
In this episode, yes, it was.
Yeah. That is the planet where Ensign Ro was in her first episode, Solarian 4.
okay, cool. So they have.
So it
I
is.
guess-
There is a name for that in Star Trek. I don't know if that's what they meant, but
Okay, yeah, that's why
I
I've
did
seen
find
it
matching.
on star charts. Then Solarian. Okay, so that's where the pina colada came from. The Solarian coladas.
they didn't seem like they were in a place to have pina coladas at that point. Any coladas.
It was from the before times.
But the denobulin / denobulin learns that Boimler is Starfleet when he talks about his bone density, and but it kind of like helps them out, I guess, because when she messages back to the admiral, they're able to track that transmission, and
Yep.
so kind of lucky there. But yeah, then we get the float up the lazy river.
Yeah.
This is where it starts getting okay, they're clearly doing an apocalypse now thing.
I love the reserved thing though. It's like you're just, oh, okay, I'll stop my forward motion somehow.
Yeah.
When they're floating down the lazy river to like the
Yeah.
scary looking ominous tunnel, there's a sign that says reserved. Like,
In a kind of TOS looking,
Yeah,
oh yeah, it's very similar to the apple.
yeah.
We got a
or that
big,
toy.
big stone
Yeah.
reptile face.
Yeah. Gamma Hydra. I can't remember the name. I did a whole fake thing for Dayton Ward on it, but I don't remember off the top of my head.
I like how
On-
they're
on
using
what?
Oh no, it was
the
the
plant from the apple.
no, in the toy, the
Oh, the
Amigo
toy,
toy. That it was basically the same thing, but it's like Mission to Gamma 4. I think that's what it's called. I can tell I'm tired if I can't remember that because I spent like weeks working on it with him.
Oh well. I like too how they're using just regular old darts as their weapons to sink everything.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
not very Star Trek or high tech to just use
Well, it's
blow
because they're
darts,
using the
but
things available for recreation at the resort.
They have.
And-
I guess they have darts. Yeah, people are like. We know in the
Yeah.
24th
Yeah.
century, people still shoot darts because
Yeah.
Julian and Miles would do it all the time. So.
And those weapons they have, you can see later on what they are.
Do they
They're
get
pool
lawn
cues.
darts back?
They're pool cues with darts taped to the end. That's their
nice.
weapons.
Oh, that's some cool detail. Good job,
like-
Titmouse animators.
It's all resort stuff. Yeah, here you can see
Yeah.
Those are my
This is
cues.
great.
When they get to
At
AWOL
AWOL
Falls.
Falls. Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, you're absolutely right, Joel. So we're looking at like a freeze frame of some of the admiral's
There
followers.
was Gorn in the last one.
Yeah, he's
What
got a
species is the guy in the middle there with the tiger stripes on his leg? Because he looks human.
That's a
Oh.
lower decks creation.
Okay,
I'm
then he sort of
fairly
has
certain.
tiger stripes on his leg, and
Or he's got pants that look like that.
well, maybe. I guess flesh-colored pants with tiger stripes. They're like flesh-colored Zumbas. Yeah, that's a thing.
But at AWOL Falls, we get the admiral's kind of secret spa lair, and we actually meet face to face Admiral. I can't remember how to say it. Melius,
Melius, I believe.
Yeah.
named
so.
after John Melius. But yeah, what did
He
y'all
seemed
think
to have gotten sunburned, even though the sun's
Right, it
not
doesn't
supposed to
make
do that.
sense. It doesn't.
What?
Yeah, the ransom said the sun
Well,
is like auto tanning. It'll know
Yeah.
not to burn you.
He's Latinum level. If he wants the sun to burn him, he just tells them, and then it can.
Maybe.
So not only
Peasants don't get this, but Latinum level, guess.
not
Why
only
would
is
you
he
want that?
because
I
he's
have no
not
idea,
only
but he
just
does.
Marlon Brando in Apocalypse Now, but he's also the crazy dude in that movie Sunshine, who when their spaceship
Oh,
is
yeah.
approaching the sun, he's like obsessed
And
with
half the
being
Bond
burnt by
villains
it.
too. He's half the Bond villains. The
And everybody
monologue.
from out not in California who visits California forgets to put on sunscreen.
Well,
But I do have some complaints with I guess like Boimler's gags in this episode of his fears of being the canary in the coal mine or whatever. But I do like the Melius concept. I like that idea. It's very like Ron Tracy and the Omega Glory, or whoever was the captain in Bread and Circuses but in the original series, like these guys who like go to a planet and then like they stay there for whatever reason, or they go AWOL. It was a thing that happened, so these big officers would go AWOL, and I liked the comedic take on it. They're like, no, I just want to be on vacation.
Yeah.
he's sort of like a lower deck admiral because he doesn't get to do
Yeah,
fun stuff.
that kind of makes
He's
sense.
out there milking whales.
Well milker.
And so I thought that was a nice thematic thing of the lower deckers going after the lower decker admiral.
Well, I'm thinking that there might be a theme this season. I mean, it's hard to tell based off of the 3 episodes
Yeah.
we've seen, but it does seem to be like a recurring thing of people not being happy in their role and having to find their. This guy was not happy as the Admiral Gormagander Milker. Tindy was not happy as a pirate. It's like people like having to leave and go find their true path somewhere else.
Yes.
That seems to be something that's and I guess
Starfleet helps you realize you don't want to be in it.
Yeah, well, I mean, they find a job for this dude at the end in our resolution. But before we get to that, though, we do have Boimler put his wiriness to good use.
And preventive sunscreen lotion. Yep.
Yeah. The sunscreen that Ransom was giving him a hard time about. Why are you using that? You don't need it here. But it came in handy to save Ransom from confinement.
And gets them out of their cuffs, which that was a nice touch.
Yeah.
But I do like that Ransom and Billups do have like a lot of faith and confidence in Boimler. They're like, no, we're taking you on the dangerous mission because we know that you can handle it, and we were trying to give you a chance to shine or whatever. I like that, and I think it's all like real wholesome and good. But just didn't really like it being like the reveal for their joke. It wasn't a good punchline, but I like the concept of it very much. Little lame that like I don't really get like the Admiral's followers. They're just like, oh, I'll just go along with this weird guy's delusions on my vacation until it stops being fun, and then I'm gonna go back to the buffet, I guess, or what? What's going on?
They
here?
were bored. Yeah,
They could
no
be.
more shuffleboard for them. They've seen it all and done it all.
My wife thinks
Let's
I'm
be
at
a
the
henchman.
buffet.
It's fun
The
until they
guy
tell
did.
you to go die against the Starfleet.
Yeah.
forces, and then-
That's not really the vibe we're looking for.
I guess one of the vacationers is a Bolian. This might be the first time we see a Bolian with no shirt on, but I guess
Yeah.
that little
Yeah.
split that goes down their face seems to go all the way down his neck and chest. So that's
Does your
really
split
interesting,
go
I
all the way
guess.
down?
Apparently it does. We were asking about the Trill spots. Now we're asking about the Boolean split, but I'm assuming it goes all the way down. Never thought
Boolean
about
split
that.
sounds like a dessert.
Yeah, like a banana split.
Yeah.
It has to have blue ice cream.
Yeah,
You
there
can
you
do
go,
that.
like blueberry or something.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. We'll work on that. A Boolean
You
split.
don't make that, yeah.
We're gonna have like a full like drink slash dessert book. We'll have a
go.
cosmic koala, a Boolean split. Someone like make a
Yeah.
list of all these.
That would be fun.
Yeah, that at the end of the
Chat,
season
save
we'll
us.
have
We
like
can
we'll have a
put it
full
together.
menu.
Yeah, just make it like a PDF if nothing else. People can download it.
Nope. Pitch it to Paramount. Get another book.
That's yeah. I'll tell you something after the stream.
Did y'all have any other thoughts on the Boimler B story before we talk about the ending?
It was again like the thing they do too much of, where it's, misunderstanding. It's that it's not going to turn out that way in the end. The minute he says that, oh, they're trying to use me as fodder, it's not. So
Yeah.
that eventually is going to have to come out somewhere. It's like there's no surprise to that. Not that it has to be a surprise.
Things do tie together somewhat in our ending. We get like that cool scene of T'Lyn meeting Grog, her favorite musician. So, and we learned that as she is a fan of his music, he is a fan of her Vulcan philosophy, and he practices Vulcan meditation. He's into logic. So we don't really hear his music, but it has to be like very chill. It's very chill.
Yeah.
Mariner
She's a
calls
tropical.
beach crooner. Mariner
Yeah.
says.
Is that like the Beach Boys somehow?
I don't know. When they first see that poster, she says something about a beach crooner before
Would I
T'Lyn
he-
says.
When I hear
She
the
likes
word crooner, I think of like Vic Fontaine. I
Yeah,
think of like
yeah.
Frank Sinatra and the Rat Pack, So I don't know what a beach crooner is. I guess like
Well,
the
maybe
beach
he has
version
Vic
of that.
Fontaine lyrics over the vibe. I'm not sure.
I could see that thing though, making kind of how the Beach Boys have that woo, that stuff in the background.
Yeah.
I can see that doing that with the vibe tubes.
You can, like a theremin, you can kind of do
Yeah.
not real vocals, but they can take the place of vocals.
Mm-hmm.
I could see that.
And we get the big reveal from the center of the Glumpus. It was all a little miniature Intrepid class starship like Voyager, but from
The Endeavor. Yep.
from an alternate
Yeah.
universe. So they're tying
Where
back
they-
into the quantum fissures from the first episode. When they said in that episode, oh, these have been popping up for like 3 months. These things
Yeah.
keep opening. So I guess it's going to
It's
continue
nice that it
to
wasn't
happen.
exactly the same. It was a different way to see that.
It's a different universe too.
Yeah.
First, I thought it was the Beckyverse, but
No.
they say it's a universe where they didn't change size. This was just
I'm
the
wondering
size when
if
came over.
it opens up a rift or something that where the times aren't matching exactly. That's how they end up with
Yeah.
the what you call it
the
yeah.
TNG uniform.
No, the from Enterprise, the decon chamber.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
I still
okay.
think that's just a thing at Starbase 80.
No, I know.
Yeah, I
I'm just
think it's going to be Starbase 80.
kind of speculating.
But yeah, it was interesting that like this other Voyager, like their captain still has like the TNG style uniform on an Intrepid class ship in the year 2381. So who knows what else is different in that universe?
Yeah, or maybe
like
she's not 2381 for her. Who knows?
Yeah, it could be a different year or something.
She's gone through a month of hell. Okay.
I love the idea in Star Trek that the one thing consistent in every universe is that all of the same people played by the same actors are still there, and like the ships are going to look the same because they reuse the sets and the actors and the ship models. Whenever they like the Mirror Universe has all the same ships. The Dark Universe from Picard season 2, it had like all the same ships. It's like the tradition that those things are like fixed points. For TV production purposes. Yeah, even in her universe, it might be a much smaller scale, but the Intrepid class ship still looks like the Intrepid class ship of the Prime universe.
Yes.
Yep.
Though it's funny though, they couldn't communicate at all beforehand, but once they see them, then-
Yeah, that was like, why couldn't they send a signal?
maybe they were trying because they weren't at a Starblaze thing. They were at this
Yeah.
resort. So maybe
But still,
Yeah,
you could
that is
like make a phone call somehow. Like,
There is just no one was
they've been trying.
no one was receptive. Everyone
That could be.
was like, "Oh, why is the spam trying to message me? I'm on vacation. I'm not going to accept this."
Everyone's had
Communicate.
4 Solarian Coladas. and-
they're just gonna tell me I need to get my starship serviced.
Krog is like, I'm going to picture him as like Jimmy Buffett type music. I think
Yeah,
that's what he was.
that kind of fits.
So
you
I
like
think
Solarian Coladas
But chiller.
and
Yeah.
getting stuck in the briar patch or something.
so. Talin would like Margaritaville, I guess.
What are they? What do they?
That would
call
really
his
be
fans
weird.
now? Oh, parrot heads. Talin is like the equivalent of a parrot head or whatever.
Oh, is that what they call themselves? The
think so.
The Jimmy Buffett fan. Okay, well,
have a
yeah,
name.
that
I think
tracks.
that's it.
Oh,
We'll go with that.
They could be pebbles, or the
So-
followers, or I don't know.
Y'all agree with me that we haven't seen the last of the Endeavor? This little micro ship is going to show up. It's probably in the season finale, but at some point in the season, the ship is going to come back.
They will bring
And
all
save
the
everybody.
alternate universe stuffs together somehow.
Yeah.
And I think
It's gonna get stuck
be
on a Christmas
yeah.
tree by Q.
the Hallmark universe.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that
Oh,
would have
yeah.
been great.
They could
The
tie it
Hallmark
in. They could be
universe.
sponsored. The 6th season is brought to you by the Hallmark universe.
Okay,
Hey,
I have
so-
to. I know somebody who works there. I need to tell him that.
Yes.
Star Trek has given Hallmark enough ornaments. They
Yes.
should finance a season
Yeah.
of Trek at this point.
There you go.
So-
You know, but they used to have like brought to you by Hallmark, or whatever. Like they'd have the Hallmark hour, Salem cigarettes or something. More likely.
We do have a Tucker tube in the background there too.
Oh yeah.
Oh, cool.
It's just a lone single one though. But
cool.
Is it,
Tucker
or is
tube,
it
but
just the angle we're at?
well, I assume if there's 2, they would have showed it off.
But it's not the 3-tubed Billups
Yeah.
tube.
Yeah,
that
not the
Livick
Billups
invented.
tube, It's just
But we have a job for our admiral now. He can feel important because his new assignment is to use his resources to help get the Endeavor back to their universe.
yep.
So, and then the captain, Tercel, right? She says, "Admiral, you exist in our universe also, but there you milk space whales." And he's like, "Well, not here."
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Is this going to be a continuing thing, or we're going to see like more people like kind of struggle to like find their place?
They'll create an alternate universe fleet.
Oh, maybe that'll be the thing. Is like at some point we'll have like a character realize that they actually belong in a different universe or something like that.
Oh, that would be interesting.
Or I don't know, like all this like universe stuff and all this like you know
Yeah.
finding your niche, finding like where you belong to like live live the life you're meant to live. Like that somehow
interesting.
that'll tie together with the multiverse thing, right?
I like that.
That's
Have we
a
seen
little
this uniform before?
Yeah, I think that's what Admiral Freeman wears. Is
Oh, okay.
similar.
I knew it was really close, but
Or Buen
Admiral
Amigo.
uniforms,
I think
I mean,
Buen
they're
Amigo
always
might have
different.
had this.
Okay. He I guess because he looks like he's wearing his schlumpy sweater more than like a uniform.
Yeah,
Like,
he's still
just
got his
appears different.
he's still got his vacation body. He's a little
Yeah.
flabby. But that's okay.
Hopefully next time we see him, he will be back to normal skin.
yeah.
And we got a final scene in the Cerritos bar
This
with
was sweet.
Talin being gifted an autograph picture of Krog from Tindy that she agrees to keep, even though it shares no logical
Scientific merit.
scientific value or anything.
Something in
Jennifer-
the background of this scene. Sorry, the woman with hijab. We mostly see her here.
Yeah.
Like she has a lot of time to hang out at the mess hall.
Eats a lot of salads.
Yeah.
Yeah, for the podcast audience, the
Oh yeah. Sorry.
we have a still frame of the Cerritos bar, and there's there's a background character that we've seen I think since
seen her a bunch
season
of times.
1, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, she hasn't shown up in a while, I don't think, but It'd be nice. So I guess some of these like familiar faces on lower decks. I guess like if we don't hear them speak this season, we might never. So it'd be cool if maybe
Yeah,
like,
just a line or two. Yeah.
yeah, like, just
We don't need an episode, but
get some.
They
get
could have
some
the
dialogue
animators
from
just
some
do
of
it.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I don't know whatever like union rules or whatever, but
Yeah.
it'd be nice to have.
Sorry, I
Level-
didn't mean to derail you. I just noticed that. I'm like, oh, she's always there.
Oh, you're good. But Jennifer officially off the Cerritos now, so this might be
Manitoba.
the
Yes.
true end of Jennifer, and who knows if we'll ever see Jennifer in Star Trek ever again.
Now Mariner has a girlfriend in Canada.
oh, my.
Kinda, yeah.
The Manitoba.
So what class is the Manitoba?
Well,
trying to think of that.
I have a theory on that, but I'll bring it up in the Gornigs.
Okay, good.
But it's nothing groundbreaking. I'm sure a lot of other people are thinking it too.
Rachel in chat says we need a Lower Decks episode about the Lower Decks background characters.
Yeah, no, that would be
Kind of like
great.
Lower Decks.
But
Lower Decks.
the TNG season 7 episode Lower Decks that the show is largely influenced by. Like if they did like that concept and like here's the people that you see in the backgrounds but never have any dialogue on the
They could do
Cerritos.
even better. They could
Towel
have
guy.
they could have an episode here and just called Enlisted. They're not even lower decks. They're just the enlisted personnel.
Yeah, you just have
Yeah.
which they kind of I feel like
They
Lower
avoid-
Decks
they
kind
don't
of
go into it.
Yeah, it totally avoids that because they want their ensigns to be
To
like
be
the bottom
the
of the
bottom.
totem pole, and is kind of
Yeah.
how they present things here. But the only Star Trek show that really understood it, and it still would be weird with it, but the distinction between officers and enlisted personnel was Deep Space Nine. But that
Yeah.
what was
The
that
little
video game?
TNG with Worf's dad.
That's true.
Oh, yeah.
And Chief
Talked about,
O'Brien
no,
on
don't
occasion.
call me sir. I work for a living. Yeah.
But what was that video game, Resurgence? That that game had a lower decker character who was enlisted, and they did really understand like the distinction there. That game was fun. You played half the game as a lower decker and half the game as the first officer, so you got to see like
That's
a
cool.
variety of the ship. Yeah, it balanced out well. But speaking of first officers, the episode ends with the gag of Ransom looking for Ensign Jet Manhaver to take on a dangerous mission to a lava planet full of magma. So
Wonder if that's a nod to Gene Roddenberry's love of lava.
it could be, or the
We love
lava
the
planet.
Danger too, just like Jet.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no.
They did go to a volcano planet a few seasons ago in season 3, right? So maybe they're going back there. But y'all have any other thoughts on the ending of the episode or anything else?
They were emotionally mature about things, which was nice to see. You didn't see a setup for that's going to be a future problem, which is cool. I mean, Boimler's starting to kind of do what he's doing, Even if it's his bointers from his parallel universe, but
We should point
the
out that
facial hair.
his beard it is
Yeah.
slowly starting to grow. It's doesn't seem to be in
there's
a
like
hurry.
15 hairs or something. I was counting it like freeze frame.
Every episode is about 10 more. So
So maybe we'll get the full beard by the end of the season.
Should do like a Twitter feed or not Twitter, but like the beard watch. Just change it every week.
tonight on Beard Watch. That's right.
I wonder if he'll finally like get the beard like grown in, but then he'll have to like shave it for some ridiculous reason or something. Like he'll have to like he'll get the beard but have to sacrifice it.
I like
Or
that.
it'd be funny if he grows as much as he can and it's just not as full as alternate universe Boimler.
Didn't at some point he say they had problems doing that? I want to say it was the Halloween costume of Pike or something to do with growing hair. I don't know. I've always wondered if his hair is purple because there's that JPL guy who's purple, has purple hair, and he came to the
yeah.
premiere.
Unknown.
Well, and I see in the live audience, Jill is saying that the Ransom subplot was not her favorite either. So she also wasn't a fan of that.
Least favorite subplot of the series not involving Badgie.
And also see some conversation about Krog. Am I saying it right? What was the dude's
with the
name?
Krog.
Krog. About Krog being a brickar, but apparently Joanne Robertson is saying Mike McMahon has replied on Twitter that Krog is not a brickar, but that rock species has shown up in Trek before, though.
There's a lot of rock species. Yeah. More than
if that's all we got on the episode, I can go ahead and go into the Gorn Egg section of the show.
so.
Yes.
This is where we like to talk about all of the Easter eggs, in-jokes, and continuity connections that we thought were worth bringing up. We didn't have time for it last week because we had 2 episodes to talk about, but this week, just starting off, the title of the episode, the best exotic nanite hotel, seems to be a riff on the movie title, The Best Exotic Marigold Hotel from 2011, which I've never seen. I don't know much about, but I've heard that name a lot. It's a very I don't know. It's a
Has Maggie Smith in it.
yeah. It seems to have like a lot of British
a lot of
actors.
big names. Yeah.
Yeah.
I still haven't seen it. I know it's very well regarded.
It's like all the people I watched on PBS growing up.
Nice.
They
Yeah, they don't.
imported
Real
movies,
naive
TV
too,
shows.
so-
They
Yeah.
only have like the same like 12 actors on that little island, and like they all
Yeah,
show up in
Judi
everything.
Dench is
You know.
3 of them. So.
That's why we get to see people over 30. They just have to keep reusing them.
Yep.
But we talked a little bit about it last week, but the opening titles for the season, they did add some more action in the big space battle.
I love this thing.
But we didn't bring this up last week, but the title sequence when it flashes the title Star Trek Lower Decks, they added blue streakies for season 5, like TNG did for season 5 of TNG.
Yep.
And then 6, it went back to the way it was before, right?
Right. And
It
the
slowed down. It would fast and
myth-
slow down.
Oh.
the myth was that like, oh, they just did that for season 5 because it was the 25th anniversary of Star Trek. But like that doesn't make any sense. Like
no.
what?
Doubt it.
Like yeah, it's like you just do that for like one season and then undo
And
it.
don't tell anyone. They would
Yeah,
be all
exactly.
over telling everyone.
Yeah.
Like we're just gonna do this for the 25th anniversary, but we're gonna do anything like this for like the 30th anniversary. It's like, I don't know. But that was like the
No,
myth.
the 30th,
that I
they did
always heard.
the DS9 Trials and Tribulations, right?
Yeah,
should
and
go-
then with Voyager they did
Voyager.
flashback.
Yeah.
The
We should
30th
write
anniversary
this
was
down.
off the chain. 1996, they did a shitload of stuff. Like,
Yeah.
it was way cooler than the 50th anniversary.
Yeah, that was just baffling to all of us.
I mean, we had Star Trek Beyond and
Yeah.
nothing
The
else.
25th, I remember shirts and pins, but that's about it. I was going to a lot of cons. Yeah.
Let's do it
Lot of
big
that.
in 2 years for the 60th.
Yes.
Let's all just put all lettering has whooshy things after it.
Everything.
I don't know. Whooshy things. It's my terrible name for the.
The LCARs do that. I can't read anything.
Well,
It's
We'll
going
have to-
too fast.
we'll have to go back and look and see if we can see like that brown tiger stripey dude or that species in any previous Lower Decks episodes. But
Yes,
Yeah.
of course,
I
if
haven't-
he's wearing pants, then he's undercover.
I don't know.
know.
I haven't heard anyone else talk about this, but we see a lot of the servers on the ship are this green purple kind of weird color pattern species that we've seen them before on the Titan way back in season 2. A member of Riker's crew on the USS Titan was that same species, but I don't think there's a name for it. I don't think they've had
No.
any like speaking roles other than
Her.
this episode and way back in season 2. So I'd
guess-
be
yeah,
curious
so
to know
Lower
more about
Decks would-
them.
Yeah, that
I
would be
kept-
cool.
Yeah. I kept thinking they look just like Mystique when she's like switching.
And that'd be a cool.
And then Jerry O'Connell, is on there, and
Oh yeah, because he's married to Mystique, right?
Yeah.
But,
who's on Strange New Worlds? Rebecca Romaine.
but this would be a very easy species to translate into live action. You know,
Oh,
they
yeah.
Yeah. It'd be
Kane
fun
an
for
actor,
if you're doing,
so-
yeah, or even just cosplay.
Yeah, it'd be fun cosplay too. Something to keep in mind. There's also a mention of Dixon Hill in this episode. Boimler says one of the
Yes.
space casinos has a bunch of Dixon Hill slot machines. So I'm wondering what the hell is that? Is that like I'm just trying to picture what would be like the different characters on the slot machine, the different like symbols and the spinning
Well,
dials. It would just
Don't
be
they
like
have like tons of branded ones for like anything? It
right,
feels
right.
like.
So it would be
Yeah.
like fedoras and like I don't know, like
Tommy
a
guns.
pistol, like a Tommy gun maybe, or like a. I don't. I think it'd be hard. Like, how many things do you need for a slot machine? I think it'd be hard to like come up with enough. But I guess Dixon Hill is like that big of a thing in the 24th century. It's like that big of a franchise.
Must be like Sherlock Holmes.
You know, that's
something
pretty
kind of-
popular. Boimler also mentions he gets excited when he's going to go on the undercover mission, and he's asking if they're going to wear the black bodysuits, which I thought was fun. So we saw those in TNG in Chain of Command Part 1. Worf and Picard and Crusher wear them, but we also saw them in Lower Decks Season 1 in Much Ado About Boimler when Captain Freeman took Shax and Ransom on an undercover mission. So probably less comfortable than like the beach wear that, that they donned instead. Jennifer is transferring to the Manitoba. Am I saying that right? Manitoba. Okay, thank you. So Manitoba, I had to Google it because I'd never heard that word before. It
Really?
is a city in Canada. So
It is.
I think it's a Parliament class ship, like the Vancouver.
Yeah, that's
We've
what
got
I was thinking.
Oh, okay.
A
Yeah.
As a
few
Vancouver.
Canadian cities. That there's a Toronto, there's a Vancouver.
I knew they'd all
Yeah.
be the same class, but I couldn't remember what it was.
Yeah, so Parliament class, which is a great design. I really
Yeah,
like
I
it.
have
Really
the
like
model
it.
of it, and I just like really it. Every time I look at it, it's like, oh, that's really well done.
Yeah, one of the few Eagle Moss models they got to do 4 lower decks before
Yep,
before their demise.
Yeah. I think it was sold after their demise, even. Like they just had them and they got rid of them.
Yeah, they had them in stock.
Then on the Rhizobar, we finally got to see Galamites on screen and learn what they look like. So we know that Jadzia had relations with Captain Baudet on Deep Space Nine, who was a member of the species with the transparent skull. And it's...
They have much bigger teeth than I imagined.
yeah, they're pretty monstrous-looking dudes in the episode. And interesting how they pour beverages down their giant mouths that look like they could like devour the flesh off of someone's bones, and they're pretty monstrous.
Jadzia
looking.
found her sexy, or him sexy.
You know, like,
Something. His
Jadzia-
brain.
Yeah, I mean, like if you're 900 years old and pretty adventurous,
Yeah,
and I
that's
guess
true.
you're just gonna try a lot of flavors. But I mean, she was into Worf. He's kind of he's kind
Yeah.
of a I mean, Mark
That makes
Twain
sense.
thought Worf was a werewolf. He's kind of a monstrous looking guy.
I
so.
forgot about that.
She broke a lot of bones with Worf, so I guess a Galamite, yeah, fine.
But that's
Love bites are a whole new thing, but
now what I'm curious about is, will we ever see Galamites again? I want to see this design show up on a different show at some point
Yeah.
in the future.
Live action?
Yeah, it could be live action or like another like animated show or something. I think if we ever get another one in the future, but yeah, I just want to see someone else like take this and run with it. Maybe cool to get like a Galamite character someday. But we also got a return of the Cretausans, who we hadn't seen since way back in Enterprise seasons 1 and 2. They're easily a fit. It was supposed to be like the joke with them, which I thought was like
Yeah.
kind of lame and one note, but they're easily.
When you're at the
offended.
end, I have a comment about that.
Is it Cretacean related?
Yes, that's what I mean. At the end of this section, like,
Yeah, go for it.
oh, that's all on them. They went on a cruise ship
yeah,
where everybody
That's what I
eats
thought,
and
too.
drinks. I'm sorry. That's
All
like
they do is eat and
they
drink.
chose the wrong place to go. That is them. That's them expecting everybody to bow to their
And they
culture.
weren't just on a cruise ship; they were at a bar on a cruise ship.
Yeah, they were in front of a bar. What do you?
They weren't
They
on a
could
beach,
see
it
in the
was a-
background drinking, right? I mean,
It was like a dock bar, like on
Yeah.
the water. So they weren't even just like on a beach where you might
Yeah.
go for the water. They were.
that was my like. Okay, somebody needed to call them on that.
Well, that's what I'm going to
That's
do
the
right
secret,
now.
though. They like getting offended, and they
Yeah.
purposely go to bars.
Yeah, I love getting offended. After this episode, I'm gonna go to the nearest bar, and if I see a single person there drinking, I'm gonna tell them how offended that makes me.
Yep.
Maybe they like getting offended. Maybe that's actually like kind of like rage bait YouTubers
And
or something.
that is, yeah. I mean, there's weird things going on with these people, but I guess like they really like. I didn't want to like emphasize this, but I guess like they really are like sexualize eating food. Is that like is that why it's like so like
What-
taboo? It's like
I guess.
so it's like what other like weird kinks are like maybe like being offended is like a turn on for them. I don't know, but like the more we talk about it, the more I don't want to like unpack the Cretacean culture. It's weird.
Yeah.
And then you think about
Unpacking
like
offends them.
when Captain Archer's dog peed on one of their trees, the way that like they make him like dress up to do their apology, and he has to like take his shirt off. It's getting like really weird.
Yeah,
They just
that
wanted
whole
to get his
thing made
shirt
no
off.
sense.
It's like we're gonna make you take your shirt off and do all this lumberjack work and slice up a tree as we just like stand here and watch. They're an odd planet of people. I can see why it's taken 22 years for Star Trek to
Yes.
reuse them.
22 years. Oh my gosh, that sounds wrong. It's got to be like
time
what,
warp.
10, 15? Yeah.
Yeah, 2002 was their would have been their last appearance, I believe.
Yep.
The skiing mountain is the shape of the Paramount Mountain. So having more fun with that imagery, like they did in season 4 on Ferenginar. And Aaron, you mentioned the Krog vibe tubes are based on the musical instrument we saw in Captain Picard's restaurant. He visited a recreation of the holodeck in We'll Always Have Paris. Not to be confused with the Lower Decks episode, We'll Always Have Tom Paris, which when I saw that, it made me crack up. That's the stupidest name of a Star Trek episode. We'll Always Have Tom Paris, but...
The guy playing the vibe, what is it? Vibe tune, tubes. Yeah. I feel like Picard would get annoyed with that person, so he would just delete him out of the program pretty quickly.
Computer.
What kind
Because he's like the guy coming to your table and like playing violin.
Oh
or
yeah,
something.
or like the mariachi at a Mexican restaurant. But
Yeah.
I kind of like that. I kind of like going to a restaurant where I'm gonna get like some.
Oh no, I
some
do,
live
but I don't think that
performance.
Picard would.
Yeah, no, a lot of people definitely don't like that. I've observed, but also just what kind of weird surveillance was going on Earth in the 24th century for Picard to be like, let's recreate this diner exactly as it appeared on this exact date and time. And it's like, man, like they know like the waiter who was working that day and like the conversation that Picard's girlfriend was having with her friend there.
The 24th century equivalent of Google Street Maps just captures all that
Oh,
stuff.
wow.
Apparently so. It's hopefully not the case that everyone on Earth is under like that level of surveillance
Well,
constantly.
I assume the conversation is the computer was making up.
Just making it up, but still, that's some really weird predictive aid. That's like the computer recreating Culber's dead grandma in Discovery,
Yeah.
and making her tell him like, oh, by the way, I actually didn't cook that mofongo. I just got it out of the replicator. Like,
Okay.
how would it
Yeah.
know that?
Yeah.
Abuela GPT. That's just how
Did we?
Well, a GPT.
Maybe because we virtually learned nothing about society outside of that ship. Maybe that's something that they accomplish in the 32nd century. They can talk to the dead or something.
This whole planet's dedicated to dead grandma AI. So.
I hope that we don't explore that.
I hope
No,
we never
no, I
see
just-
it again. Not.
But
in
it was
Academy.
weird. You're
Yeah.
right. It's like how it made no sense.
You know,
Unless
what
he
else?
programmed that in and he
Or
could
his
not be
grandma left
surprised then.
detailed blogs.
Yeah.
Abuela log Saturday.
A rather
He
erotic
still
entry in
thinks
her abuela logs.
I make the mofongo.
But as far as Krog and his species, he might not be a Brickar. He's not a Brickar like Rock Talk, but I think he's the same species as the Rockmen we saw in the Endorian bar in the season 1 episode 2 Envoys. They were based on the rock monsters from a deleted scene from Star Trek 5. Shatner wanted these rock monsters to come out of the ground at the end of the movie, and they
My favorite thing is he was interviewed once and said they've never had rock monsters in Star Trek. I'm like, you got squished by one almost in an episode of TAS.
But
It just wasn't like
he
human
doesn't
looking.
remember that episode though. So.
Oh, he doesn't remember any of the episodes.
I know.
Yeah. He never saw it. He just read the script into a into a
Shot
telephone.
what he did, and then that's it.
He got a sound alike to do it.
But we get another reference to Star Trek films with the dude who had his genitals on his back. When he tells Boimler, where else would they be? But we know from Star Trek 6, not everyone keeps their genitals in the same place.
That's right.
As Kirk had to kick that dude in the knee, which I guess was more than a knee when he was in Klingon prison in Star Trek 6.
That's genetically or like evolutionary a weird place to put your genitals.
Yeah. I'm not sure what was going on his planet, whereas people evolved that way.
All the other creatures got kicked in the groin so much that they evolved.
A lot of the weirdness in Star Trek, it's like I don't know if I want to actually like chase these rabbits. You know, I don't know if I want to go down these wormholes.
It was just when the whatchamacallit, the progenitors are just kind of like, I just want to go to lunch. There.
Okay, genitals is randomized. Yeah, it's just randomized.
Yeah, there's actually like an option on the in that.
It's like game creation character.
Yeah, roll that D20
that Burnham was in. Yeah.
Choose your genital location off this table, and there you go.
And the other strange alien life form thing we got in this episode was the Admiral milking space whales, but Boimler asked Gormagander or the Galaxy Child thing. So the two examples we know of space whales in Star Trek.
That I forgot to. That was what at the time. The only thing that really irritated me. It's a lovely episode, but there's no way for him to like. It wasn't even like worked in a way where it's like naturally would have said the title without saying the title.
Yeah,
he
some
just
of them
says
but...
Galaxy's Child. I'm like, okay, he's not Q. He can't get away with that.
The novelization, the hollow novelization.
Was that one of the in I Excretus when they have like all the different episode names on the board when they're doing all the different simulations? Was there a Galaxy's Child one? I don't.
Maybe everybody's log has a title or something like that. So.
Yeah, that's the idea that Mike McMahon has floated before online, is that a lot of these famous missions that we remember the episode titles are they're remembered by the same titles as like these important missions that someone
or like a newspaper article,
logs.
not newspaper, but the FNN or whatever.
It would still be kind of weird. It would still be kind of a weird way to refer to things, but I don't know. Maybe.
Sorry, that was the one thing I was like, oh. Totally forgot about that.
It's also something that like only happens on Lower Decks. No other Star Trek show does that. Just mention episodes. Well, I guess Q did in Picard a little bit, but yeah, that was supposed to be a weird thing. And we get a lot of stuff with the Nano Intrepid, the Endeavor, but they were very Voyager-esque, you know, having to be separated from home and struggling to get back, but also they went through a month of hell.
It was so weird. Mariner also goes a month, like it wasn't enough. It was just
that is weird.
Because a year in hell, they don't know about a year in hell. They don't know anything about that.
Neither does Janeway. That was all erased. Nobody knows about it technically.
Yeah. Now that's something that shouldn't be on record. Is year of hell. Yeah, that's a really good point. So
maybe they have their own version of Tuvix and all these different like, parallel stories.
And this is the first USS Endeavor that we've actually seen. And it's not even like from the Prime universe, it's from another universe. But like they use that name in Star Trek a lot, but it's always like on a chart or something. We've never actually seen a USS Endeavor.
Because that's one of those classic sailing ship names.
Yeah, and it was also one of the space shuttles. There's an Endeavor space shuttle, right? So those all get like Discovery, Enterprise, Columbia. Like they use a lot of those too.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're all on charts basically, or like in the background or something. But we've never seen them.
I always
was the ship that was shot as the Enterprise and the boat in Star Trek whatever that was.
Generations.
Generation, yeah. Wasn't that the Endeavor? They just redressed it. Or am I Columbia, I think it was. I'm sorry, I think I got the wrong one.
One of those kind of names.
One of those, yeah. It's like, technically we saw one, but no, I actually think it's the Columbia.
But yeah, it's one of those like classic ship names like Yorktown or Intrepid or Enterprise that Star Trek just loves to use and reuse. But that's all I got on Gornegs. But y'all heard us talk about this. Was there something
Sorry,
else?
real quick. In the Ryza, in the background, there's tiki masks hanging on the wall. One is a Klingon, one's a Tellarite. So I thought it was kind of cool that they had like tiki masks, like 4 different species.
They need to make those into something they hang up on the ship on the next Star Trek cruise. So ECP is the company that puts that on for Paramount. So ECP, get on that. I think that's what
they must listen to Tex-Trek.
I should see if they can hire me. No.
But y'all just heard us talk about this episode for over an hour. So please comment or reply on social media and let us know your thoughts on the episode. We might share your feedback next week. We do have time for a couple of subspace transmissions that we got on last week's episode. Well, we talked about 2 episodes last week.
Yeah.
But one of our regulars on YouTube, Opinions No One Cares About, wanted to point out his obligatory reference, damn, Starbase 80, but then goes on to say this one could be 0.327% worse. So we're thinking we might get more Starbase 80 later in the season, Opinions No One Cares About. And this kind of cracked me up on YouTube, but Chocolate Monk came to our video and commented, "I wish the algo stopped putting Lower Decks in my feed." I just wanted to point out, Chocolate Monk, you dumbass, don't click on Lower Decks videos on YouTube and then comment on them. You're gonna get more. But thanks for the watch.
Click on them, give us the engagement.
Yeah, thanks for the watch and the comment. You're gonna get more Lower Decks content aimed at you now, but I don't know. Maybe this is like a weird Cortessan thing where you're asking for it or something. I don't know, but just wanted to point that out, Chocolate Monk. But that's all I got on subspace transmissions. But we do thank everyone for watching or listening, and I'm looking forward to the remaining 7 episodes of Lower Decks. It's sad there's only 7 more. But
yeah. At least they're not all dumped at the same time like Prodigy.
Oh, good God. That was,
a lot easier to get through and easier to discuss with all of y'all. And it's a fun ride. I don't know where they're going this season, but it's fun to take it episode by episode and speculate. Wonder like, oh, are these themes going to connect? And
it's enjoyable not knowing.
Will Boimler's beard grow full? Like I'm pretty sure everyone's going to be okay at the end of the season, but I need to know, is Boimler going to get to keep his beard or not? If it is like the last episode, you could end it with like, he finally got his beard, and now he's just gonna be like Riker was permanently bearded except for Insurrection. It might maybe like Boimler.
Yeah, could be.
We will find out.
We will. But looking forward to talking more Lower Decks next week. Please check out Rachel and the crew on Thursday nights for the first reaction stream, and we'll be live on Fridays with the deep dive discussions. But until next time, as always, live long and prosper, y'all.
Listen to the Tex-Trek podcast through Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or at tex-trek.com. Like us on Facebook at facebook.com/tex-trek, and follow Fatheree on Twitter at txtrek. Please support us by liking our videos and subscribing to our channel on YouTube. Thank you and take care.